I had a conversation with my wife and it was a very sad and emotional discussion. She seemed to be telling the truth, at least as far as I could tell. It's just the beginning of more conversations to come. Surprisingly, she blamed herself and not me for what happened. She's actively engaged in counseling to try to understand what led her to make such a choice, and I genuinely feel bad for her. She repeatedly emphasized that she never told the other man that she loved him. To her, that seemed less significant than the physical aspect of the affair. I disagreed, explaining that having sex with someone else was far more hurtful to me. She admitted that she wanted to confess, but was afraid I would divorce her, so she continued to lie. I believed her because it made sense. She expressed a desire to stay together and prove her love. However, I told her I needed to give her a chance to be with someone else, and I needed to start fresh with someone new. I mentioned that I would always worry whether the sex with him was better, and she'd look back on those moments with fondness or longing. She insisted that our sex life wasn't the issue, and that she was the one who felt let down. She said I had to know that our sex life wasn't the problem, and her reasons for cheating were why she's in counseling. I made it clear that I wanted a divorce because, if she could cheat once without losing me, she might do it again. I expressed my desire to date other people and have relationships just as she did, which I couldn't do while married. I told her that if we were ever to reconcile, I'd have to leave for 1 to 2 years so that I could be certain she genuinely wanted to be with me. She didn't like that idea at all, and I also hinted that I might never return. This upset her, and we ended our conversation for the night. I'll have more updates later. Interestingly, the other man left her a message asking what I had told his wife. It seems like he's feeling the pressure. She hasn't talked to him and says she won't. I'll provide further updates soon. A lot has happened since my last post. I understand why some people change their minds when faced with this situation. My wife is not a horrible person. She's human, and made some very bad choices. Yes, she lied to me, but I also understand why she did it. I've read some threads and my wife doesn't fit the typical profile of cheating wives. She's genuinely sorry and sincere about it. We've even discussed her taking a polygraph test and I believe her. She's doing her best to try to salvage our relationship. And yes, I do want to date others. I don't want to cheat, so divorce seems like the right choice. I'm not interested in being a martyr, and I don't intend to wait for years to rediscover myself. I just want to have some fun and enjoy life a little, especially since my self-esteem has taken a significant hit. I recall an incident from years ago when we were watching a talk show. There was a married man who openly admitted to sleeping with other women, saying it was primarily for the sex. The female audience didn't hold back and labeled him a pig. However, in the last 30 minutes of the show, they featured a woman who was cheating on her husband, for similar reasons. She simply mentioned that her husband just wasn't there for her. Surprisingly, the women in the audience sympathized with her. And no one called her a pig, even though she didn't explain how her husband wasn't there. This made me realize, I can understand that, but when it goes beyond emotional connection and crosses certain physical boundaries, it becomes much more serious. I was committed to my marriage and treated her well. I didn't want to lose her, and she treated me well too. The dynamics changed when I had to travel a bit, and it's her fault for getting involved with another guy. I genuinely believe her when she says, the sex with me was better and she didn't love him, it was about something else. However, that doesn't change the situation. She cheated on me, knowing that if I found out it would be the end. I can't remain married under those circumstances. I want to set both of us free to explore what's out there. My plan is to sell our home and move south while she wants to stay where we are and give it another try. I've made it clear that I'm moving, so we won't be in close proximity when we start dating others after the divorce. Hopefully this will make things easier for both of us. I can see how much she loves me, and she's truly hurting right now, wanting a chance to make amends. She even mentioned that her friend had been supportive of the affair, unaware that I had overheard their conversations. She's fundamentally a good person who made terrible choices, and now we both have to live with those choices. I understand that people can sometimes get closer to others than they intended, but when it crosses certain boundaries like the physical aspect, reasons become less significant. In that regard, I believe she went beyond the point where our marriage could be salvaged. I'm still adjusting to all of this, so I might not post much for a few days. Right now, I'm not discussing this with anyone else, so I'm sharing my thoughts here. I've been a strong believer in the idea that we're responsible for our own happiness. I've decided to prioritize my own desires without constantly considering her feelings. Going golfing was the best decision I've made recently. I'm determined to move forward with my life and not dwell on the question of why me. I'm prepared to accept the consequences of my choices. To make it clear, I'm pursuing a divorce, and I've told her that she's free to date others if she wishes. My ego has been wounded and I'm eager to move on. I'll wait until my divorce is finalized before I start dating, but I've already initiated the divorce process because she had already been dating someone else. So, in a way, she's been doing that already. I'm planning to be divorced in 3 months and intend to enjoy life for a while afterward. I currently have no plans to get married again, but who knows what the future holds. I'm relocating to ensure we don't run into each other. She mentioned that she'd be willing to follow me to demonstrate her commitment to our future. Things are progressing. For me, the best approach has been to start making life decisions without constantly considering her in the equation. This has allowed me to make choices that align with what I want. I recognize that my reaction might not be typical, but it's how I want to handle things. Regarding the kids, they are still struggling with all of this. Despite being nice kids, they're shocked by what's happening. I've discussed getting them counseling with my wife, and if they want to go, we're trying to provide them with the support they need. Fortunately, they're older, so there won't be a custody battle. But I can't help but think that if they were still living at home, my wife might not have cheated on me. My son has been quiet and isn't talking much about it. On the other hand, my daughter is also struggling and I'm trying to support her through this difficult time. On the other hand, my daughter is very upset and angry, mainly directed at her mom. At this point, she is not speaking to her mom. I have reassured her that her mom still loves her and needs her, but it will take some time. Initially, when I found out about the affair, I wanted to make things difficult for my wife and the other man. I had assumed my wife wouldn't care much, given what I had read about affairs. However, she is now suffering. She is currently staying at her parents' house, and eventually our home will be sold and everything we built together will be gone. My wife asked me to talk to her counselor, who, as it turns out, is a marriage counselor, not an individual one. She explained that my wife is hurting, and asked if I would consider joining a session at least once. I told her I would think about it, but upon reflection, I have decided not to go. Regarding the other man, yes, he is a piece of crap. His wife contacted me asking for proof. I told her I had evidence of him having my wife at a hotel, eating dinner and kissing. I also mentioned that he told my wife he loved her on the phone. She told me he had portrayed me as a guy who beats his wife and is crazy, advising her to stay away from me. So I met up with her and showed her the evidence last night, and she has no doubts now. She doesn't know what she is going to do, but she knows he is a lying POS. On a lighter note, she asked me why my wife would cheat with her husband when she had a hunk like me at home. It made me laugh, and I realized I hadn't laughed much since all of this started. She also mentioned that my wife is very beautiful, which made her feel even worse about herself. I told her I know exactly how she feels since I have been feeling pretty awful too. So she now has proof, and he can't lie his way out of having an affair with my wife. I also had a conversation with my wife after that. I will share more about it later. I no longer feel the need to try to hurt her since she is showing so much remorse for what she did. I am currently trying to figure out where I should move to. I can't help but feel like people are laughing behind my back. When I first came here, I thought my wife didn't love me and was confused because she acted like she did. Now I am confused because I know she does love me and threw it all away for some jerk. More to come later. Hello again. Of course my wife has regrets, but she is also showing remorse and taking full responsibility for her actions. Regarding Nanonsense, I believe I read their story, and their wife had sexual encounters with multiple other men, including a threesome. If I remember correctly, she admitted to being with at least 3 different guys. But what are the consequences for her actions? My wife could have told the truth, but she didn't want a divorce. If she had admitted it, our marriage would have been over. So, my wife isn't a monster for trying to save our marriage. She was attempting to protect what we had. However, the affair itself was the deal breaker. In Nanonsense's case, his wife had those encounters and still stayed married. Please understand, I am not criticizing anyone. I just can't do that. It doesn't make me better or worse than anyone else. It just makes me different. My wife is willing to take a polygraph test at any time to prove she is telling the truth. She couldn't admit the affair and still want to stay married. So she lied to me. I understand. I understand what people are saying, but I am close to this situation and my wife is truly heartbroken over what she has done. I mentioned one of our neighbors who got divorced. They appeared to be the perfect couple, just like us. I noticed a car at their house during the day when he was at work, and it turned out to be the school superintendent. I thought she was cheating, but my wife told me to leave it alone, so I did. One day their house was for sale, and I asked the wife if they were moving. She said no, they were divorcing. I apologized and she got angry, revealing she was having an affair with the superintendent. I felt bad for her husband, he was a good guy. My wife is not acting angry or blaming me. She knows it was entirely her mistake. If anyone deserves a second chance after messing up, it might be my wife. But I cannot handle a wife who would be with other men. I have always believed in personal responsibility. If I were a terrible husband, and that drove her to cheat, then I should have been a better husband. If I was a good husband and she cheated, then it is on her. That is what brought me here. She tells me it is all on her, not me. She cheated because something was wrong inside her, and she is in therapy for it. That is why I want to bring this to an end as soon as possible. I feel like I am investing too much time in this. I do not really need sympathy, but I do appreciate having a place to vent, and for that I thank all of you. Thank you all for your comments and support. I have been planning this divorce for a couple of months, so I have got the legal aspects sorted out, even though it will cost both of us. As one poster recommended, I read the story of Sophie 2013, and it does sound a lot like my story. I had a 3-hour conversation with my wife the other day. It helps her when we talk, but I started feeling even worse about life and what might have been. The good thing about my job is I can do it from anywhere, so I'm loading up my car with my golf clubs and clothes, and I am going to start my new life. I'm gonna check out Florida to see if I like it enough to stay there permanently. My heart is broken, and I need to get away from here and start moving forward. I almost wish my wife had been difficult about her affair, but she has been the opposite of that. I told her to come home, but I was leaving, and she said she would stay with her parents. She asked me to stay and think about things so she could prove her love for me, even though she did something terrible. I told her it hurts too much and we both deserve better. So I am leaving and moving forward with my life. I wish I could get over this, but I cannot. To clear my head, I'm going to relax and start thinking about my own best interests. I need to learn to live without her, and rediscover a life I used to enjoy. That is my plan for now. She thinks I am running away, and maybe I am. But I had already planned on leaving after telling her about the divorce. She is so unhappy with herself, and I feel sorry for both of us. I missed a phone call from the other man's wife the other day. I called her back, and she wanted all 4 of us to get together and clear the air. I told her I better not ever see her husband, and I gave her proof. So I'm done with all of this. This weekend I am going to load up and head to Gulf Country to start enjoying my life again. I know some people might say I should slow down, but she knew her actions were a deal breaker, so I want to keep moving forward. She deserves better than what I can offer her right now. That is my update for now. I loved my wife deeply before discovering her affair. I had always envisioned growing old together, even though I suspected she might be considering leaving after her infidelity came to light. Hello everyone, I just wanted to express my gratitude for your support during these challenging months. It has meant a lot to me. I recently took a significant step by leaving home. I decided to leave my wedding ring behind because it symbolized my old life, and it has been a bit strange not wearing it. In the past few days I have started to feel better. I ventured into the Wayward Side forum to gain insights into women who cheated on their husbands, and it provided me with a better understanding of my wife's actions. Currently, I am focusing on work and golf, which is helping me relax. I have received many calls from friends and acquaintances, and life is slowly becoming more manageable. Although I miss our old life, I am working on building a new one, understanding that it will take time. My wife is also going through a lot of pain, and we had a lengthy conversation recently. I have been honest with her, expressing that I feel she has become damaged goods to me and I need to move forward. She is putting together a journal at my request detailing her affair. She wants to do everything possible to have a chance at saving our marriage. While she suggested coming to see me, I declined, and she understood. I have not told her that I left my wedding ring at home, and she has not asked about it yet. This has made it easier for me to put her out of my mind. She is in the process of quitting her old job and has not returned to work. The other man has tried to reach out to her, but she has not responded. She mentioned feeling too ashamed to return to work after being served there, and she is not on good terms with the other man either. Word about the affair seems to have spread among her colleagues. She still has a few more weeks of vacation before her employment ends. I will be back in a couple of days. Take care, everyone. It has been a while, and I needed some time away from thinking about this difficult situation my wife has put me in. I have been trying to stay away from all the drama and focusing on work and golf. I am currently in Florida, and it has been really beneficial for my healing process. I am feeling much better, but I know that it will take time. The kids are doing somewhat better, but they are still struggling. My daughter is particularly angry with her mom, but she is now getting counseling, so I hope that helps improve their relationship. So here is what happened recently. My wife had initially moved back to her parents' place, but now she's back in our home, which is up for sale. She kept reaching out to me through emails and texts, asking to talk things out and give our marriage another chance. She did send me a lengthy email confessing about the affair, providing many details, but avoiding discussing the physical aspect of her involvement with the other man. She claimed that her friends advised her not to share those details with me because they thought it might lessen my willingness to reconcile. This did not sit well with me, so my communication with her reduced, and the divorce process is moving forward. Her parents have called me a couple of times, expressing their concern for her. Last week we had a conversation, and she expressed a desire to reconcile. She asked if I was dating anyone, and I told her no, as we are still legally married, and it would not be right. She seemed happy about that, and said she was not dating anyone either because she wanted us to get back together. However, she mentioned that 2 of her friends wanted her to go out with them. I wanted her to go out with them that night, and she asked if it was okay. I told her it was her decision to make. Later that same night, I received a text from a good friend who was out on a date. He didn't know about my divorce filing and hadn't returned my calls due to his busy schedule. He informed me that my wife and 2 of her friends were at a club with 3 guys, all dressed up, including my wife. One guy sitting close to her was someone I knew, and my friend recognized him too since he's divorced. This bothered me because we're still married and had agreed not to date others until the divorce is finalized. It wasn't the OM, but it raised questions. I went on Facebook and saw a picture posted by one of my wife's friends showing the 3 ladies with the 3 guys at their table. This happened 20 minutes after my friend's text, making it look like she was on a date. I sent her a text asking if she was on a date, but she didn't respond. Then the picture disappeared from Facebook. An hour later I sent another text, but she still didn't reply. It reminded me of when she was cheating with the OM and wouldn't respond to her phone. Whether or not she was on a date, one thing remained clear to me. She was already dating her boss when she was married to me, going on trips and staying in hotels with him. So, not much seems to have changed except our marital status. I removed her friends from my Facebook friends list, and unfollowed her, so I'm not exposed to these updates anymore. I decided to stop taking her calls and her parents' calls. I sent her an email, wishing her well on her date and saying goodbye. I've removed myself from her life, and no longer want to know about her activities or relationships. I made it clear that she has no right to know what I'm doing either. The divorce is proceeding full speed ahead, and I've blocked her calls and texts. It's been over a week without any contact from her, and I'm feeling much better. The only downside is I received 2 calls from her friends telling me she wasn't actually on a date. They admitted they wanted to make me jealous by posting that picture, and advised my wife not to respond to my text. I told them playing games wasn't appropriate, and that they shouldn't be giving her advice because it led to our divorce. After those calls, I decided to change my phone number to put an end to the drama. I've only shared it with my family and kids. It's been peaceful, and I'm feeling much more relaxed. The divorce is progressing, and I'm in a better place, mentally. I have 22 unread emails from my wife, and I haven't read any of them. I'm focusing on daily workouts, my work programming, and playing some golf. While I miss my wife, I also miss having female companionship. I'm trying to wait until the divorce is final, but we'll see how that goes. I'm not drinking to make sure I don't do anything reckless. That's the update from me. I'll try to keep you posted. I appreciate all the support I've received here. It's been tough since I relocated, and as a man it's not something I can easily discuss with other men. It's embarrassing to think my wife was having an affair behind my back. I really tried to be a good husband, so these past few months have been challenging. 6 months ago my wife and I had a great life. However, around that time she started an affair that ultimately led to the unraveling of our marriage, something I had no idea about. Our once happy home and family have been turned upside down. I want to apologize to everyone, but I've read every post directed at me. The reason I don't respond to many of them is that spending too much time here upsets me. I've also read about other people's situations, and it frustrates me as well. I'm shocked by how many men have wives who keep cheating on them, and they can't get the truth, yet they keep hoping to save their marriages. When I read these stories, it makes me question how much I loved my wife. I loved her deeply, but I can't stay with her after what happened. Here's another update, and I hope others can learn from my journey. I'm doing my best when I have no contact with my wife. My son asked me to reach out to Mom because she's struggling. My wife knows the kids have my phone and she wants to explain what happened that night, over a week ago. So I went through 25 emails and she expressed her desire to explain things and have a chance to save our marriage. I don't want to talk to her because it always upsets me, but I don't yell or anything like that. I sent the following email to her. Dear wife, I've read through all of your emails. I'm sorry to hear that you're going through a tough time right now. I understand how it feels when the person you love is not there for you. The only thing I can tell you is that you did the one thing that could end our marriage. I can't stay married to you knowing that you're not an evil person. Unfortunately for me, whatever reason you had wasn't enough. You did the one thing that ended our life together. I no longer love you as a husband should love his wife. You still haven't told me why you did this. You never disclosed the details of the sexual acts you engaged in with the other person. But one thing I do know is that you were dating another man while we were married. You were intimate with another man and then came home to be intimate with me. I got the leftovers from that guy, and I can't get over it. It's puzzling, because he's nowhere near in the same league as me. The fact that you slept with him makes me feel you need to release me. I've already released you, and I want to move forward and enjoy my life with someone who treats me as I deserve. Our actions have affected both of our lives, and it's time for us to part ways. I've had to let go of someone I loved before, my mom, due to her cheating on my dad. Now I have to do the same with you. While I once loved and adored you, I no longer want to see or talk to you. One of the benefits of not being in contact is that it helps us both move on and eventually forget about each other. Please understand that this is our new reality. Let's keep the kids out of it. When people break up, they often go no contact to heal and move on. Accept that our relationship is over, seek help, and work on yourself. You deserve a good life, and I genuinely hope you find one. But it won't be with me. I'm sharing this not to hurt you, but to explain why I've made this choice. Let's both move forward with our lives. As I've read many posts on this site, I've noticed a common theme. When people overly indulge a cheating spouse, it seems to create confusion, making them waver between their spouse and the other person. Often, they can't seem to break away from the other person, causing significant turmoil for their partner. Fortunately, I haven't faced that issue with my wife. She has been persistent in trying to reconnect since I filed for divorce, so that's where we stand now. My wife has responded and is considering flying down here to prove her love. If anyone has thoughts on whether I'm handling this right or wrong, I'm open to hearing your thoughts. However, divorce seems to be the only viable option in my view. When I look at you, I feel repulsed. I want to find happiness again, and you should too. You're a beautiful woman who had a man who adored you. You deserve to have that again, but it can't be me. When I see you, I think back to you with him, and it's tainted our relationship beyond repair. I deserve better than that.